Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dead Duck Film Club podcast. The Dead Duck Film Club podcast is a podcast about the world of international cinema, and just by being here today, you are part of the club. I'm your host, Sebastian, and with me today is a special guest, Derry Shilitto. How are you doing? Director of the Correction
I'm
Unit.
good. Yes, I'm good. I'm buzzing to be on the podcast. I'm looking forward to talking about the film we're going to talk about. And yeah, it's we've seen a lot of each other recently, which has been quite nice.
Yeah, we have, actually. Long may it continue.
It's
We're going to be talking about The Raid, obviously, also known as The Raid Redemption. And later on in the show, actually, I'll be joined by director David Hinds to talk about the challenges of delivering a feature film with a micro budget of 10K. But before we get into the tactical carnage that is The Raid, I want to hear about your recent watches, actually. Derry, you go first. Have you watched anything good recently that you want to talk about?
yeah, yeah. I have. I've watched a couple of things. I watched Black Bag, Steven Soderbergh film, with Michael
Let's go.
Fassbender and Kate Blanchett. Yeah, really good. Like surprisingly better than I thought it would be. And just 90 minutes, just exciting thriller, really funny. All of the actors were good, bar one. I had a problem with one of the actors, but that's just my bias. But yeah, it was class. And also, I finished Night of Seven Kingdoms as well, the
Oh,
Game of
hell yeah,
Thrones
man.
spin-off. Yeah, so that I was never fully into Game of Thrones really. I liked it, but I never like fully committed. But I
Yeah.
watched this on a whim, and then watched it all the way through. Realized this one, like the Night of Seven Kingdoms is much more my type of show, and it's like Shrek but with really violent. One episode is really violent.
Yeah, it's a good one. To go back to Black Bag, I also thought it was a bit of the hidden gem of last year. Basically, it kind of came and went. Didn't hear much about it. I mean, the people I followed did like it, so I went to watch it. Loved it. And then I went to see his. Soderbergh is extremely active and proactive in making movies. It's insane because he
Yeah,
also released a ghost story called Presence. I don't know if you've seen that,
I haven't seen it.
but
I know about it.
yeah, it's from the POV of the ghost. It's interesting. It's cute. I didn't love it, but I thought it was fine. And then I'm going to see another one of his movies next weekend. I'm going to see The Christophers in London. So we'll see how that goes. So,
Yeah, that's
Guy's super
crazy.
perfect.
Well, he retired. I don't know if you remember, about 12 years ago, he retired from filmmaking and then decided to be more prolific than he ever has been. So
Why
it's
not?
like yeah, in retirement, he did more films than he did the previous like 10 years. So it's, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he's a
it's
great guy though.
crazy. Yeah, well, he sounds like it. In interviews, he sounds really cool. And to go back to, and then Knights of the Seven Kingdom, also absolute banger. I was definitely feeling the Game of Thrones fatigue. I watched House of the Dragon season one. I thought it was okay. Season two, I was getting really lost and kind of dragged out. So these micro 30-minute, 40-minute episodes about one guy and his little sidekick, little egg sidekick, and then unbelievably, like the episode, it's 6 episodes or is it 7 episodes?
I think six. Yeah,
All right. Well, I remember episode five being insane then because it's the episode with all the big fight basically, and it's just
yeah,
you're gripping your armchair. It's amazing.
yeah. It's brutal. It's a brutal episode. I was gonna get, ask my girlfriend to watch the show with me because I thought she might like it. And till that episode, I realized, yeah, that one is just so violent. But it was really powerful though, really powerful because you really want Big Dunk to live. And
You do, and I love that. Without spoiling anything, the episode starts with him getting the absolute shit beat out of him.
mm,
You're a minute in, and you're like, oh, he's done. But he's so big and he's so strong and strong-willed. Obviously, like his life is on the line, his everything's on the line, and he pushes
yeah,
through. And it's filmed so well, also.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's class. That episode knocked me out a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, it's great.
And kind of directed to sort of swing it back to the raid. The way the camera is like attached to the people in that battle scene is similar to what they do in the raid, where the cameraman is like in amongst the fight scenes. Like he almost like he's one of the actors himself. I think in some cases they did do that as well. We'll talk about it later, but in some cases, some of the actors were operating the cameras.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool. I watched the last four. We'll talk about it in a minute, but I did watch like 45 minutes of it before coming on the podcast, and I was just reeling about like the shaky cam is insane. But we'll
Yeah.
get to that. Did you watch anything else other than those?
I watch stuff all the time, and nothing. Sometimes I repeat things. What have I watched? Yeah, so Black Bag. Let me just have a quick look at my letterbox. I've seen No Other Choice not too long ago, which was class, and also
Best film of 2025.
um, it's definitely up there. I think it's definitely up there. Uh, and what else did I watch? 48 Hours, the Eddie Murphy film. 48 Hours.
No, no, I
It's
have no
like
idea what this
his
is.
first.
Was it good?
It's his first film. It is good. It's his first like big Hollywood film. Um, and
Oh
it's
wow, he's
way more
young.
violent. Yeah, he's young. He's like 22 or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I didn't
and
realize because I know comedians can become actors, but it's usually a bit later in life. I didn't realize like 22, he was already acting.
yeah, he was, and it's directed by Walter Hill, who directed The Warriors, and amongst like, and he wrote Alien as well. Um, and it is really good. I watched it.
Wow.
I used to think it was a lot funnier than it actually is, and it is funny, but it's way more like an action movie than it is a comedy. And
Right.
yeah, so that's what I watched recently. What about you?
That's cool, man. I watched a few things today. Well, I'll start with. Why don't I talk about? I watched Dead to Rights, which is a Chinese movie about the a massacre that happened in a town in a big city in 1937 in the town of Nanjing. It's called the Nanjing Massacre, where Japanese forces came into China to occupy it, and they killed and raped 200,000 people. So
Jesus
nice and
Christ.
breezy watch. Yeah, nice and breezy watch. But this movie released in 2025 to wide acclaim, and I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. Obviously, it's kind of like China's Schindler's List. That's how I
Oh
would
wow.
define it. Yeah, and it's called Dead to Rights. I highly recommend it. Then I watched a movie called The Chronology of Water by Kristen Stewart. So this is a Kristen Stewart joint, best known for her role in good old Twilight, I think. And it's the movie about a woman who's got an abusive. She's had a really tough childhood, basically, and she finds escape in water, basically competitive swimming. It reminded me a lot of Worst Person in the World, where you kind of follow
Cool.
someone going through some heavy stuff. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's very stylized. The
Hmm.
cinematography is out there. It's all filmed with a filter, like a 4x3 filter with some cracks on the edges that move along the film. So yeah, Chronology of Water that released last year. I gave that a 3.5. So pretty
Okay,
good.
nice. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was on at Cannes when I was there, which was ages ago. So yeah, I have been looking out for it,
aware of
and
it. Yeah,
yeah, Christian Stewart Kirsten or Christian Kirsten
Kirsten. Yeah,
directed it, right?
Kristen. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is not very professional of us. Her name is Kristen.
Yeah,
Kristen
yeah,
Stewart.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah, she did it. She did direct it. It was great. Then I watched Black Ghost by David Hinds, which I'm interviewing later, which was also interesting. And then recently, I watched The Bride. So this
Okay,
was Maggie Gyllenhaal's movie. So I went in it expecting not much. I came out thinking it was a mess that I couldn't stop thinking about. So
cool.
pretty good. Solid 3 out of 5. Would I
Okay,
recommend it? Yeah, because I think the performances were really good.
yeah, I've heard some people slagging it big time, but I tend to ignore those reviews now. Now that I've had a few negative reviews myself, I'm like, well, fuck those guys. No, yeah, the no, yeah, I read that one review said that Jessie Buckley was terrible in it, and I found that hard to believe.
Yeah, no, they don't get it. She's very good. She's very
Yeah,
very good in this. Um, I mean, I've watched Hamnet twice, and then I went into The Bride, and she's got much more of a tough character to play in The Bride, where she plays like obviously the bride, but she's possessed. I won't tell you by who, but she's possessed, and so she has to play two characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought she was great. I think it just couldn't come off very theater, very kooky. But the movie is kooky. It's ridiculous, but it's so much fun. I think it kind of loses itself in the second half, especially around the story that it doesn't go anywhere. There's stuff that I really didn't enjoy. And it kind of ends on a okay boomer kind of thing, but like,
Oh,
yeah, not great. But honestly, Christian Bale fucking kills it, absolutely kills it as Frankenstein. Just amazing. So yeah, Jesse Buckley, Christian Bale, killed it, loved it.
nice. Yeah, I'll check it out. I liked Maggie Gyllenhaal's first film, The Lost Daughter. I thought that was class.
I didn't. I don't think I watched it, but also divisive. I hear.
Yeah, yeah, but really good, really good,
Oh,
but
I did
very
watch it.
different. I was that you've
Does
seen it
that?
only a little bit.
Yeah, does that ever happen to you? We go, I have no idea, and then you're like, oh, I rated this like 3 stars or whatever.
That's only ever happened to me once, and that was for a film called, oh fuck, I can't even remember what it was called.
There you go. See?
This is annoying. A Regina Hall film called Support the Girls.
Okay.
It's the only time I've ever started watching a film and realized, oh shit, I've seen this before.
Wow. Support the girls. It's 2018. Yeah, it looks a bit forgettable, but yeah. Andrew Buchalski. Oh, okay. That's why.
Yeah,
Right. Okay, yeah.
it's
That's
good.
interesting.
It's a good film.
Cool. Um, and final, and I'll shut up. I watched a couple of hours ago. I stopped work a bit earlier to watch the new Louis Theroux documentary that came out a couple
Uh,
days ago. I watched it with my wife. It's called Inside the Manosphere, and
How did
it's
that go?
basically just
Watching
Louis
with your
Theroux
wife?
talking to a button. I mean, yeah, we just kind of looked at each other and was like, "That's awful, isn't it?" Yeah, it is awful. We both hate humanity at this point, don't we? Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, it's not just so like the thing about Louis Theroux, I think, is he's getting a bit older, and I think he's covered this and he's covered something else before that I can't remember off the top of my head, but um, I felt like he was just a bit behind. Like the manosphere itself, like these guys, these Andrew Tates and all those dickheads, like I've known about them for at least 6, 7 years, and I think like this idea of toxic masculinity, at least in the last 5, 4 years, when well, since Trump's first power in office, the first time he became president, I think things started to ramp up. So I didn't see anything new in this documentary or groundbreaking. It was just, oh, here's a documentarian I really like with these people I hate. Let's watch them interact, and that's the entertaining part. But I wasn't. It was nothing new. It's just a reminder that times are awful on that side of things.
Yeah, yeah, it's a real shit show, isn't it? I'm gonna watch it just because I think the idea of him being in a company of those people is quite funny. But I also will end up hating the world after.
Yeah, I think it is funny, but I kind of miss Louis Theroux doing kind of going and spending time with these communities that you never thought about. You might know of them, like these extreme Christians in the middle of bumfuck nowhere America.
Yeah,
I kind of want him to do more of that. I kind of want him to go to the fringes of society, not so much something that's very much in the middle of society, in my opinion.
yeah.
So um, yeah, let's see if he responds to my email about that.
It's Netflix though, isn't it? They need something. If they're gonna get Louis Theroux to do a documentary for Netflix, it has to be the hot topic that's currently, you know, people are talking about. I don't
You
think
might
if
be
he did
right.
Westboro Baptist Church now, it just wouldn't get on Netflix.
Yeah, I know, but I kind of want him to go further. I want to talk about the cannibals of South America or something. I want to go that direction.
Yeah, that'd
But
be good.
yeah, we'll see. We've done it. So with that done, let's talk about the Raid. So I'll start with a bit of an intro to the movie. The Raid movie released in 2011 by it was written, directed, and edited by Gareth Evans, who's a Welsh filmmaker. It stars Iko Uwais as Rama, Joe Taslim as Jaka, and Yayan Ruhian as the terrifying Mad Dog. It's probably going to be hard to reference those guys because I had a really hard time just saying those names, but they're great in the movie. The film was a massive breakout hit for Indonesian cinema, winning the Midnight Madness People's Choice Award at TIFF and launching Gareth Evans and Iko Uwais into international stardom. It's widely considered one of the greatest action films of the 21st century. I certainly agree with that. And the IMDb logline goes: a SWAT team becomes trapped in a tenement run by a ruthless mobster and his army of killers and thugs. So the first thing we do on the show is that we talk about the ratings, the Rotten Tomato ratings. I'm going to have you guess the critics rating and the not credit the audience rating. See if you can figure out where we're at. Let's start with
I reckon.
the critics. Go for it.
Okay, I think these two will be quite similar. I think because it's just
Okay.
kind of like it is just like critically heralded as well as audience loving it. So I'm gonna guess like critic rating so, something like 83,
Okay.
and then audience rating. Well, Indonesia is a big country. They've got like a huge population, and if
They
they have
do.
Tomatoes there, maybe like I'm gonna say like 91 for audience rating.
Okay. No, we're very close. So they're both actually sitting at the same percentage of 87%, which is
Oh damn!
good. It's high, right? But you weren't that far.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a hit,
It's
man,
pretty
and
good. It's definitely a hit.
I think
Uh,
you can't
yeah, go on.
really you can't really give it a bad review because it's such a straightforward action film, which is done like so perfectly well that how
Yeah.
can you review it in a you can't give it any negative reviews really.
No, I don't see how you could unless you're not into violence. But why are you
Yeah,
watching The Raid, a movie called The Raid, if you're not into violence in
yeah,
some way, shape, or form? I think it's kind of the ultimate action martial. I remember. Let's talk about. Do you remember where you were the first time you watched it? Actually,
yeah, I do.
tell me
It
more.
was I was at Confetti as a student at Confetti, and the guy that runs Mayhem, Chris Cook, actually showed some clips in class, and then I went and rented it and watched it on a laptop because that was the only sort of TV screen I had at university, and I watched it on a laptop in my bedroom with like mold on the walls because student housing was so pathetic. But even on a laptop, it was just riveting. I just thought like it was just high octane, just propulsive, like madness. I couldn't really believe what I was seeing. Um, I've been a fan of martial arts anyway, like all of the old Jackie Chan films, but like it just felt like everything was so dangerous on the screen that people must have got really hurt making the film, and they wouldn't have been. My first thing I thought is like they wouldn't have been able to make this in Europe. It would just been illegal. That was like, yeah,
It's famously it has like a really long credits list at the end for paramedics and people who helped out. So I
yeah,
think you might be correct. Yeah. My
yeah,
first viewing experience, I can't remember exactly where we were, but I watched it with my brother. And I remember thinking, this is the best kind of like best friends movie kind of thing to hang out with your best mate and watch a movie because you can't believe what's on screen. So you just kind of look at each other going, whoa, what the hell? That's crazy. And that left a massive impression on me to the point where I was like, I'm going to screen this in Nottingham on the 30th of March, by the way, in 2 weeks. And yeah, so it made a lot of sense for me to do that. And I think I read online, just doing some research, I think a lot of people also have this effect of this movie maybe being the first touch point for a lot of people with martial arts movies. It certainly was for me. I think I've watched when I was younger, like Shaolin Soccer, Kung Fu Hustle. Is that the one also?
yeah, yeah.
Which
They're
are
both
fantastic movies.
Stephen Chow, right? Stephen Chow,
I think
the
so. I'll take your word
director,
for
is
it.
it? Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I remember I remember the raid being like, this is insane. And then you kind of go on this crusade of you need to watch the raid, a bit like when you watch Old Boy for the first time. You have to make sure everybody watches this movie. And that's definitely how I feel.
Yeah, it's class. It's kind of like there's something about like kung fu when it's done like the way they do it in the raid and like Jackie Chan films where it's the same as watching ballet. I put it on a level of that kind of high art kind of level. I think it's like dance choreography and ballet, and it's so like sophisticated. So when you're watching it, it's just the highest level of sort of film action you can possibly get. And yeah, and everyone, and what is beautiful about the raid in particular is all of the actors you can tell were so close because there's so many of them doing mental stunts that would, definitely would have broken some bones. And behind the scenes, there's some great clips where one is kicking the shit out of the other, and then they cut, and the guy's clearly hurt, like he stays on the floor for a little bit too long. So his mate starts massaging his shoulders so they can go for another take. It's crazy. It's just yeah, I
This
love
will
it,
fix
and
it.
yeah, I love it, and I really do. I would love to do like a martial arts film, like one day. I think like the idea of sort of choreographing things like the way they do in a raid is just sort of peak cinema, really.
It really is. I'm be very curious about the screenwriting and how he viewed this, because so I was very interested in understanding how Gareth Evans, a guy from Wales, ended up shooting a martial arts movie in Indonesia. I thought like there's a story there, and there is. Turns out he got hired as a director for a the martial arts. The actual martial arts is called pencak silat. It's an Indonesian fighting style, indigenous fighting style of Indonesia. There you go. And he got hired to do a documentary in Indonesia for that. Basically, he went to do that. He became absolutely obsessed, and that's where he met a delivery guy, who's our main character here, who was a master of this martial arts. And then that's when he was like, I want to make a feature about this. And actually, he wrote a script for a martial arts movie in a prison, and he couldn't get the budget for it, and so he pared it down to a movie all happening in a block of flats, basically. And so he made the raid one, having written and thought about the raid two, because in the raid, then eventually he gets to do the raid two, which is what he had originally planned, which is also a great movie.
Yeah, it is. How mad is that? That whole backstory is just crazy. Like when I found out that it was a Welsh bloke that directed it, it was so surprising. It was just I just never expected it.
Yeah,
And
me neither.
I wonder what the budget was.
1 million.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
It was 1 million, and it was picked up by Sony for distribution before the movie was released. Before theatrical, well, obviously, but it was during production that it was picked up by Sony, and it was released in 2011. It made, I believe, about 9 million box office, which is nine times its original budget, which is amazing for a movie this size. And most of that money was actually made in the U.S. Believe it or not, which is crazy. There's
Yeah, I
also,
mean, yeah,
yeah, go on.
yeah, it did blow up. I remember it just blew up and everyone was talking about it. All the film geeks were gassed.
Yeah,
And
for
it,
sure, man.
when does that ever happen for an Indonesian film? Really?
Well, it pushed Indonesian cinema to the forefront, and all those actors went on to do more martial arts movies and amazing careers. Really, one of the facts that I think is one of the facts that I think is hilarious about the raid is that the for the American release, Sony pinged Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park to make an album. And that's the soundtrack for the US release, is made by
Oh
a
my
member
God.
of Linkin Park. And get this, one of the songs, there's a guest performance by Chino Moreno of Deftones on vocals for
It's
the Raid
crazy.
soundtrack. I know, it's insane. So the original, when it released in this, and with the Indonesian soundtrack, and then when it made its way to TIFF, it had the Mike Shinoda soundtrack,
Damn,
which
I
is
never knew that.
Yeah, I know. It's you dig into these movies. Sometimes the behind the scenes can be as fascinating as the movie, and The Raid is definitely one of those.
Yeah, I mean the soundtrack's great as well. Like,
Yeah.
like no, there's quite a specific um hook to one piece of music they use throughout. I think it's like with a sort of twang of a guitar. It sounds like really memorable. Um, yeah, I mean, I can't believe Mike Shinoda. So is Mike Shinoda in the film then? Did they use that
No,
music
no,
in?
not at all. Not at all. No, he just wrote and produced yeah, the album for the American release. The
Um,
rapper of Linkin Park in 2011. He
yeah,
must have put his hat in the ring or something. I don't know, but yeah, so that's what happened there, which I thought was really really interesting. As a little fact about it, um, when I was watching it earlier on, I was thinking about the making of it, like trying to like kind of peel the layers of the onion that is the production behind the movie. And I hadn't seen the behind the scenes yet. Actually, I have the Blu-ray right here, which I need to check out the behind the scenes of. But I was fascinated by the idea that they might have used the same set multiple times because all of it happens on all these floors, right? And I swear 10 of those floors look exactly the same. And I'm thinking, did they just use that again and again and again and again? I mean, that would make sense, right? They all look the same.
yeah. I think they did just rebuild it with like plywood and then smash it up again.
Yeah. And that must
I
have been
get the
crazy.
impression. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they would have had. Yeah, it kind of makes sense actually thinking about it now. Like, how would I have shot that? And I think the only way you can really get it done is by using the same set over and over because you know the size of it and you get used to all the measurements and stuff. So when they're doing all of the choreographed like fight scenes, it will just make everything much more manageable and it will allow them to go full like, you know, hammer and tongs at each other because they're so familiar with the space.
Yeah.
So
There's also quite a lot of VFX actually in the movie. The
yeah, it makes
it's
sense.
Yeah, it's it's obviously very, it's not quiet, but it is there. And it has to do with all the guns and all the blood, of course. And also I'm not sure about this, so I might be talking out of my ass, but I do believe I thought I picked up some VFX, maybe some green screening happening to convey rooms across rooms. So it seems like you might be seeing another scene behind it, which was actually projected on the green screen. I think potentially, um, maybe. But I need to
Yeah, it
talk about the
makes sense.
guns, man. I need to talk to you about the guns because the guns were all airsoft guns, which I thought was fun, and the sound mixing on these guns and the way they use them, it's like mini guns. When you watch the movie, it's go
Yeah,
and it feels like a video game. We're not reloading shit here. Like it is full on, full auto the whole time.
yeah,
And I had forgotten that martial arts does not happen until like 20 minutes in. It's very
yeah,
subdued. The beginning is just guns, and it's all about how these guys are being pulled away from each other, and how the whole situation goes to shit, and how the gangsters are taken over, and how slowly but surely they lose their ammo, they lose their guns, and now it's time to do a bit of this. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
yeah. It's wicked. I think like yeah, there's no reloading, and if they're reloading, they're doing it like whilst the bullets like out of the gun. So it's just yeah, the reality is just that thrown out the
I,
window.
you-
But I
I
don't tend to.
Yeah, go on.
Oh yeah, I don't tend to like go in for gun food that much. I'm not like a massive. I don't mind it, but I'm not like someone that seeks out those type of films. Um, but this one I love, but I wouldn't really say it's gun fu because, like you say, like yeah, it is very martial arts heavy about half an hour in. But yeah, I tend not to go for like gun fu, like John Wick stuff. I'm not massively fond of. I like it, but I don't. Yeah, I've only seen one of them. Um,
I
I
Oh
know you
really?
like him, though,
I
didn't
think yeah, sure. I mean, the first one's good, but I did rewatch it and I was like, eh. But I think I think those movies for me, they mean a lot to me just because I see them. My family's not huge on movies necessarily. Definitely not my brother and my dad. And so when we get together, I'm like, here's this movie. And when John Wick 4 released, we were in Thailand. I was with my wife, and basically they joined halfway through the trip, and so I got to see it in Bangkok. And little fun fact, by the way, when you go to a cinema in Bangkok, at the beginning they have like the national hymn or whatever, the national anthem, and
Yeah.
everybody has to get up, including you. So everybody gets. So it's really like surreal. You've got your
Oh,
popcorn and everything, and then national anthem. Everybody puts that to the side, gets up, and okay, now we're gonna watch the movie.
that's crazy.
um,
Like the beginning of a football match.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, yeah. They have like the royal families projected and stuff like that. And then we watch Keanu Reeves throw himself off buildings. And I saw those. There's that. There's who you watch it with also. Um,
Yeah.
and I think John Wick has a lot to say, and to it's taken out a lot from the raid actually, because even in those first 45 minutes, there is a bit of gung fu. Now you lose it at some point because the guns go away, which is actually quite good for the balance of the movie. But there is a lot of not so much tactical reloading, but I did see a lot of like close quarters shooting like this kind of stuff, right? And if you've ever shot a gun, which I got to do in Poland, you'll know that those things will make you deaf. So when there's five of those guys shooting those M4s or whatever they were in the corridor and they're talking, I'm like, okay, I don't believe that. So the sound mixing itself was interesting, definitely. Is and I said especially with the guns and all that, but yeah, it's about who you watch them with, and John Wick has a lot to say about that.
Yeah,
So
I think I'd love. I can't wait to see it in the cinema, to be honest, because I haven't seen The Raid in the cinema, and I think it's perfect to be watching with like a big group of people. Um,
mm,
and hopefully, loads of those people might not have seen it before.
that's my hope. And I'm thrown back to like the first screening I did at the Savoy, which was Old Boy, and I was kind of praying for people to never have seen it. And I spent the third half of the movie like looking at people like this, just looking at them while stuff was unraveling. And I think there's going to be something similar here for the raid, because there's I think I'm going to see a lot of people with smiles plastered on their face for an hour and a half, because this is bonkers. And I'm a bit nervous actually, because watching it earlier on, I was like, the shaky cam is making me a bit sick. Like it was insane. You know how in the movie, like a lot of them do this, like they do a lot of the rotation of the arms before they hit anybody. I'm nervous because it feels like the cameraman at some points are doing that. And I felt like I was in a washing machine. So hopefully nobody gets sick. We'll see.
It might happen, and because the room that you're in the Savoy, it's got the recliners at the front, right?
It does. It does.
And I think they're quite close. So,
Yeah, quite close.
yeah. I mean, I never have a problem with that motion sickness, but it is one of those films that you have to take like a quells before you
Yeah.
travel
And
sickness tablet.
when yeah, there you go. I'll give those out at the beginning. For the promotion of the screening, I got to interview a martial arts expert of silat. I'm going to call it silat. And so that's going on. That should be on socials now. But it was really interesting seeing the comparisons between the actual martial arts and the movie. And it's really clear to me that the movie is extremely faithful, and you can tell that the actors were professionals that knew this specific martial arts, because when you watch it, it's like dancing. It's like a second skin for them. They're amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love it. Like I love dance choreography. Um, I'm really interested in it. I think that yeah, that's why kung fu films are so good. Like, because they're basically all dancers. They're just really aggressive and punching each other. They're
Yeah,
aggressive physical dance.
yeah. I have to say, there's also one thing about the movie that I noted that I really enjoyed this time around. It was the attention to detail to every single part of the building. Is something that took me out of a movie I watched recently, was just the fact that everything looks so sterile. The clothes look sterile, not lived into. There was a real. I was pulled out of that movie a lot because of this, and this is extremely grimy. The raid that like the apartment block is. You can feel like there's an accumulation of dirt for like 40 years in the corners of those rooms, and they add these little details, these little shots of the camera, which just show you that for like a split second, just to build up, I think, that character, which is the building itself. And so I think, I was listening to an interview of what's his I should know this off by heart. Who's the director of Nosferatu, The Lighthouse? I should know
Robert
this.
Eggers.
There you go, my man, OG, the one I love, Robert Eggers. So I was listening to an interview with him. He was talking about The Witch and stuff like that, and he was so pissed off because The Witch has a lot of historical inaccuracies that only he would care about. There's this moment where there's a horse coming, and he's like, "So the horse is the right race of horse. I can't remember what you call it, the race of horse, but." As you can tell, there's no genitals on this horse. It's a female, and that wouldn't be used back in those days. So I'm like, nobody's looking at the genitals of the horse, Robert. Like, nobody. And he says the same thing about like, so you see the wood that's used here. This would not exist back then. So what I'm trying to say is these directors that spent a lot of time on the details, I think it pays off in the end. And I think The Raid, that's kind of something there. There's something about the details.
100%. 100%. You feel every punch. You feel every like sort of wound that Rama has for the whole film, and then like, they've been through the ringer, and like yeah, you're right. Like when the makeup doesn't look dirty and gritty, and the set design doesn't look lived in, it is really off-putting. And I think it tends to be a thing now, like in modern TV and film, where they still need the actors to look beautiful a lot more than like getting them, like making them look like mucky. And I like The Last of Us. I like The Last of Us a lot, but the costume and the makeup in The Last of Us was really clean, considering no one's showering and they're being chased by zombies all the time.
Yeah, I guess that's a bit of a bugbear. We need more normal looking people in movies. I think that's something that international cinema can kind of bring. As much as obviously The Raid, the main actor, which I'm going to find his name right now, the main actor who was a delivery person before that. He was cast because he was the best at what he did in the martial arts aspect, and he's not too bad to look at either. No shade to him, but it's not Tom Cruise, and they could have picked someone prettier and tried to teach him the moves, but that's not how you do it. That's not how you get The Raid.
No.
So yeah,
And he's a great actor. He's actually a really good actor as well. Like he like all of the emotional bits, he carries it. He's really great to watch. But
he is.
like, and because they ordered the fighters know each other and ordered them train together, it's just amazing to watch. It's so riveting. Like I'm getting energized by the thought of it already. We got 2 weeks until it's done.
I'm looking at his IMDb here. I completely forgotten he has a role in The Force Awakens, Star Wars Episode 7. That's crazy. That's definitely someone who watched The Raid. I was like, I want that guy. I want that guy. But J.J. Abrams, did he make the movie? I think he did, right? Yeah, he was like, let's book him in. Yeah, there you go, J.J.
Yeah, JJ made it. I think no, Gareth Jenkins didn't make fucking Star Wars, did he? It's someone else, another Welsh director who has a very similar.
I don't know. I just know.
Gareth,
Yeah.
Gareth Jenkins made it, right? Gareth Jenkins made Star Wars, and then Gareth Evans made The Raid, but they have very similar names.
Oh yeah, probably. Well, that's why also Edwards, the same, and I get confused with the director. I can't believe it. Jurassic World Rebirth. Why is that the one? Did you ever see that Jurassic World Rebirth?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the Gareth Jenkins guy.
No, it's not. Gareth Edwards.
Gareth Edwards. That's it. They've all got weird names. No, I mean the names are very normal actually. There's nothing weird about them. It's just they're very confused. Yeah, so the guy that made Rebirth, he also made one of the Star Wars films, I think.
Well, it depends because Gareth Edwards, who made Jurassic Park Rebirth, whatever, he made Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So maybe you're thinking about him.
That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about
Yeah,
him. Yeah.
yeah. He also made The Creator, Godzilla. He was we were doing really well, and then he made Jurassic World Rebirth, and he pissed me
Yeah.
off. Oh well.
Yeah. I saw that in the cinema by myself,
Oh my
and
god.
yeah, I was for a while. I was thinking, oh, this is actually all right. This is going all right. The idea is pretty interesting. Of just like getting three blood types, and then just really went to it went to shit.
Nothing
But
matters.
it is,
Nobody dies. The VFX are great, but that's
yeah,
what he's good at. And then, yeah, the rest
yeah.
didn't work out. Didn't work out.
I
So,
will say it's
oh yeah,
probably
go on.
better than the
Sorry.
other two. Yeah, no, it's probably better than the other two Jurassic Worlds. I will say.
Probably. I don't think I watched them. I think I watched
So
the
yeah,
first one of those, and then yeah, no. And I was talking to Mark, a friend who was also complaining about Jurassic World Rebirth, and the whole thing about Jurassic World Rebirth is they go, "Oh, dinosaurs are all over the place, and people find them boring now, so we have to jazz it up." So it's kind of like they're talking to their audience a bit, like you don't think they're cool anymore. So we have to do this now, and we have to make them jazzy, and we have to put the main theme in the middle of the music. And I think it's such a failure of that studio to think that dinosaurs are boring. They're not boring. They're like the most exciting thing ever. If anything, we need more of
yeah,
those. We need more dinosaur movies. Just man,
yeah,
I could rant on about
yeah.
this for sure. So back to the raid. I'd like to know who stood out the most to you in terms of performance, if you can remember. Who is
Yeah,
the
there's a
one?
few.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, the main guy, Eco Wise, is amazing. But there's the guy with dreadlocks. His death
Oh,
scene is crazy.
Mad
Um,
Dog. I think. Let me see. Is that him?
yeah, Mad Dog. Yeah, Mad Dog.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
so good. He's in a few other movies also. Like he's crazy.
yeah, and that whole hall fight scene with him is my favorite scene, and so he's really stood out. But I think for a film like this, it is difficult to talk about the actors that stand out, isn't it? Because it's such an ensemble in a way, because they're all just doing insanely beautiful like stunt choreography.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's
And
true.
yeah, I don't really think about the performances, but I think like there are my favorite fighters. the, my favorite fighters are the Gary Dreads and Ego, and my favorite. Are we talking about favorite scene? Is that coming up later or?
Yeah, we can talk about it now. Favorite scene. Go for it.
The corridor scene. Um, like when you realize that this is a proper martial arts film, and it's just beautifully choreographed and just so well done. And there's one bit where they go into one of the rooms just off the corridor, having a fight. There's a hole in the floor. They fall through the floor, and the cameraman jumps down with them. I don't know if you
Yes.
remember that. Yeah,
Yes,
so
I
the
do. I
cameraman
just
goes
watched it.
through the floor. It's fucking. It's just so like just they committed to just fully having it as immersive as it possibly can be, even if it meant like having people with cameras jumping 10 feet through a floor. Like
Yeah, it's messy that way, but as you said, it just pulls you into where you feel like you're part of the fight. I think that's the big success of the raid is that it feels like you're in there.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it's as you said. I think the cast itself are the best performers. They're just fantastic all throughout. I think they're great. Joe Taslim also, who plays Jacka, who's like you think he's the main character for a bit actually, because also what I love about the raid is that you start with Rama, who's the main character. You get a bit of a scene where he does pull-ups and he says goodbye to his pregnant wife. So you're setting up like stakes here, right? And it's just it's a minute. Set choice, and then you're in the truck, and they're going to the apartment flats. But then Rama doesn't hold center stage at all for the first 30 minutes. It's actually Jaka, who's like the leader of the team, who's in the middle of it all, and he's the one leading the team and figuring stuff out. Rama is in the back. Rama is kind of like on the sidelines, and they have this really good scene at the beginning where they identify that Rama is a good guy. If you didn't know it already, because he's got his girlfriend pregnant and he can do pull-ups, well, there's a scene of him kind of protecting a civilian. Like they're about to go in, and there's a civilian who's about to go in, and his colleague like start beating up and yelling on this guy, and Rama's like, "No, what are you doing? No, we're good guys, you know." So there's this micro scene that I thought that was cute, and so we're establishing Rama as a cool guy, and a nice guy, but you don't see him then for fully until 30 minutes in, and that's the corridor scene you just talked about.
Yeah, it's like say a hero's just entered the building
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
that scene.
yeah. He's a superhero actually, because
Yeah.
he does some crazy stuff. And then we have department. What do you think? What department do you think knocked it out of the park?
Yeah,
You can't say martial arts.
it has to be the choreography, the team that the choreography and the camera operators, because
Mm,
obviously they are so in sync with the martial artists, and you know the director will have a lot of say in that, and he's committed to making it as high octane and intimate as it possibly can be for a fight scene.
mm.
Uh, and I think yeah, like I said to you earlier, I don't know if this film would be able to be made legally in like Europe or America. Like, I don't think there would be. I think some risk assessments would have got like the thumbs down.
Well, it's interesting you
Um,
say that because Gareth Evans is back in Wales, so he lives in Wales now, which I thought was fascinating, and I hope we bump into him one day. But he then made Havoc more recently, which didn't get as much success. But he made Havoc for Netflix, I believe, and I watched a bit of that movie, and it was CGI fest. It was very, very heavy on the CGI. So I wonder if there's a bit of what you just said in that, where when you try to repeat what you did in Indonesia in Europe, you might have more obstacles than you think.
I think without a shadow of a doubt that is probably the case. And I know obviously he's got Tom Hardy in Havoc as well, so the budget would have been, the Tom Hardy budget would have taken a chunk out of the overall budget. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, it's the same with like Chinese martial arts films as well. Like, there's an element of risk which they're willing to take for these films in Asia because they know that it just has to be high octane and it has to feel like people are really getting hurt. They are really getting hurt,
They are really good.
and yeah, they are. Um, but yeah, yeah, the way it's done in Europe is safety first, which is obviously good. It's always better to be safe. Not
Yeah.
better to.
For me, behind the scenes, I would go with set design. As I mentioned, I think the set design is actually like amazing. It's our third character is the building. I think they did a really, really good job. So congrats, set design. You have my vote. Next on the line is the if you like this, watch this. So I'm just going to start and say, if you like the raid, watch the raid 2. If you just like the raid, you came to our screening, the raid was sick. Just go straight into the raid 2 because we were picking up right where we left off, and it's 2 hours long, and you get more of the first and just more budget. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. There's like some really like big action set pieces in Raid 2 as well, isn't there? Where yeah, they've gone bigger. They've got like a car chase, which is kind of one of the greatest car chases in any film. I know we're talking about the raid more, but there's a bit in the raid 2 where the cameraman goes from one car through the window of another car and out the window of that car onto a motorbike while still going at 60 miles per hour down the motorway. And there's a whole behind the scenes video for that.
I need to watch that. Yeah, I remember that shot actually. Do you have any recommendations for people who like the raid?
Yeah, Police Story, the Jackie Chan film, tonally slightly different. It's much more comedic. but the stunts and the level of like high octane kung fu and the execution of it is really amazing. So if you like the fight scenes in The Raid, watch a Police Story and Police Story 2, because there's even bigger things in the sequel as well. Jackie Chan directed those in
No
'98.
shit. Oh, was he directing them too?
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah, he directs them, acts in them, and he also sings the.
A man of many talents. You know, it's funny you say that because when I was looking at the actors from the movie I watched recently about the massacre in China, all those actors, they all have singing credits in something. It's like they built them different in China. You need to be better. You need to be good at everything. If I need you to tap dance, you need to be able to do that. So they're really well rounded over there.
Yeah, big time. I mean, Jackie Chan can dance as well as do all of this stunt stuff and sing. And
Legend.
yeah, he is a legend. Yeah. So yeah, those
I
are the
think
two
he's
that come to
about
mind.
as famous as Jesus over there. He's very popular.
Yeah. And then Dread, like you
Okay,
mentioned
cool.
Dread as
And
well.
oh yeah, go on. Yeah, I did. I
You
put it in the
mentioned
document. Dread. Dread is a good one. Dread is a good one because it's another take on it. It's kind of like a fresh take on it where we put the spin of the raid on a comic book character. And there's some really good VFX in there. Also, some really good like moments. And Carl Urban, I think, is the main character, and he plays him perfectly. He's
yeah.
great. All right, so that's it. That's our review of The Raid. Do you know what your review is on Letterboxd for this movie? How many stars?
I haven't done it on Letterboxd. I'm going to do it after watching it on the 30th. But if like currently now, I'm thinking four solid stars.
Yeah, my question here for me myself is like, do I put 4.5 on this one or on The Raid 2? Like, which one do I prefer actually? And I don't know. So I think double featies. Got to do a double feature. I think of both those movies. I have the Blu-ray, so maybe I'll just watch The Raid 2
Yeah.
the day I watch The Raid at the cinema. I think that's the way
What
to do
time
it.
does it finish? Yeah.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that because originally it was I wanted to do a double feature, but the Savoy doesn't open that late because the issue here is that the Raid 1 easy peasy 90-minute banger, we're good. The Raid 2 is 2 hours and a half, so it was a bit much to put that on at like it would be 10:30 or so 10. Yeah, it would have been a bit much for the Savoy staff. So it's fine. We'll watch it at home.
I'll probably do the same.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, thank you so much, Derry. Thank you for being here, man. It's always a pleasure to talk.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to seeing the film again. And hopefully, it looks like there's still a few tickets left, but there aren't a lot of people are going.
19 tickets left. I looked at this afternoon. So yeah, hopefully
Great.
it'll probably sell out, which is great. I want to see it with a packed screen.
That's the way it's got to be
Looking forward to it. Yeah, for sure, man. All right, let's go to my interview with David Hinds. See you, Derry. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this interview with David Hinds. How's it going, David?
Really good, thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for being here, for giving us your time. David is the director of many a movie, actually. Garden Tool Massacre in 1997, The House on Cuckoo Lane 2014, Tainted Blood 2021, and the newly released horror movie Black Goat. Now, you've also done some music videos, I believe, right? Were you in a band or something?
Yeah.
I was researching and I just found a lot of videos on YouTube with your name attached to them. And I was like, is it him?
Yeah, it is me. So yeah, I've dabbled in the music video world. So I've done some stuff for some local artists in Nottingham. First Blood being one of the artists in Nottingham, Pete Chilvers and his crew. Did some stuff for some friends that were in bands, and then I got some of my own music projects off the ground, which I've done one video for so far. So yeah, I've dipped in and out of music videos over the years, and it's actually how I met Todd Franklin, who I co-produced and made Black Goat with.
Well, let's talk about Black Goat then, because the first thing that hit me when I looked into, so after the movie I did my research, I wanted to know as much as I could about behind the scenes and just talking to friends. You put online that the project cost about £10,000, which is unheard of for like a feature length movie, right? It's really unheard of. What was the biggest challenge when working on such a low budget? Was that the budget from the start? How did it go?
The budget was smaller from the start. So the way it came about, me and Todd had worked on several music videos together, and he'd never made a feature. I'd made several homemade features before that. It literally shot for around £200, £250, so crazy cheap that we managed to get distribution for. But we really worked well together, and so let's just do a feature together. But we had a bit of a time limit on it, in that he was looking to move from England to Wales, and he was like, it'd be good if we can do this in the next like 6 months. So I wrote a script quite quickly after having a nightmare, which sounds really cheesy, but it's true. I fell asleep listening to a really creepy piece of music, like an ambient piece of music that was quite sinister. And I had this mental dream that I was levitated and smashed into the floor, which obviously happens in the movie. So that became the genesis of the idea, really. But when it came to looking at the script, we were like, there's some pretty crazy stuff in this. We've got like things being decapitated with giant blood fountains going up into the sky and turning everything red. We've got some crazy stuff like people being split in half and all sorts of mad set pieces. So we're like, how are we going to do this realistically with no money? What can we put in? So between us, we put $2,500 in each. So we had $5,000 to shoot with, basically. And we actually shot the production for $5,000. We spent the other $5,000 in post on visual effects, primarily. And they probably account for 15 seconds of the movie, I would guess, where we use visual effects, and that cost $5,000 basically, all in all. Yeah, we got incredibly lucky, I think, with this project, because Todd brought an amazing crew with him, and there were an amazing crew of people that really just wanted to work on a feature film, and they were really dedicated, and they were willing to work for free. So we got some really good crew members. It was a very small crew, but we had a really dedicated crew that were like, we want to do it. We just want to make this movie. So we were able to put all the money into the effects, essentially. And I wrote the film particularly around, I knew I'd have very limited funds. So I thought, well, what personnel have I got? What locations have I got? What do I think we can achieve with probably no money? I kind of overwrote the set pieces a bit, thinking we can scale them back. But I think for the most part, we delivered what was on the page to varying degrees of success, I would say. I think the practical effects, which I'm much more in tune with personally, I much prefer practical to visual effects. I think the practical effects really work quite well. The visual effects, I think, needed more money, more time to refine, and that wasn't there. I think they work fairly well in the movie, but if I had more money and more time, I think that's where the money would go. It would go on those visual effects shots. But yeah, $5,000 in production, $5,000 in post. So crazy cheap.
I like the idea in the movie that there's this recurring body horror element to it of the splitting in half. I thought that was cool that it kept recurring, like it was the thing. That was what was going to happen, and it was actually quite fun to just see the blood and guts. That was cool. But I have to say, there's a scene in the movie, like the dark space, the black space, I guess.
Yes.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, and the void. I call it the void.
The void. Yeah, the void. And that was the most interesting part to me about the movie. It was like, and the visuals, and the blood into the sky was really fun. Everything being red. I mean, no spoilers. But anyway, that was my favorite part. So did you go on?
Yeah, so the blackout space was the other sizable cost, I would say, in the $5,000 that we had to actually shoot the movie. $3,000 went on practical effects, and then about $1,000 went into booking the blackout space, which was this immense studio in Nottingham. It just an immense space. It was like a completely blacked out IKEA. It was massive. Like Blood Brothers Studios is where we did that, and that was just a great space to work in. Like, you could make people really small in the frame. You could just so much space to play around with. So about $1,000 went on that, and then the remaining $1,000 kind of went on food and provisions for the crew and the actors, really. But the void scenes, I agree. I think they came out quite quite strong, I think. They were a nightmare to colour grade, though, in post-production. Todd colour graded the movie, and they were a real challenge to balance. They were, you think it'd be easy, just like, oh, we'll up the contrast and take the brightness down, but no, way more complicated than that. So,
how did you find the actors?
So the lead actor who plays Ben is my cousin, and it's the first time he'd ever been in front of the camera, believe it or not, because I think he does do a great performance. We've had some really nice feedback on Ben's performance. So Ben is a musician. He's travelled the world playing in bands, and he's got a very strong persona and a real there's a real warmth about him. I always thought, he'd play great in a movie. If he just was himself, he'd play great in a movie. So I kind of wrote the character with him in mind, particularly, and the character's called Ben. His brother, Darren, played by Darren Randall, Mike is the character. I'd worked with him before on Tainted Blood, but only in one small scene, and he's a really talented local Mansfield actor. He's been in a lot of theatre productions, and he's done a lot of other really low budget indie films as well. We had numerous calls put out online, and then through some of Todd's connections with other projects that he was working on, there were actors involved in them that were like, "Oh, you're making a feature? I'd love to be in a feature. Is there any parts left?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, we can. Yeah, I think we can get you in," kind of thing. So it's a real mixed bag. I mean, there was quite a lot of people I've not worked with before on this one, which is unusual for me because normally every movie I've made before has been quite family and friends orientated, very low budget stuff. So this was a much bigger cast for me.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Yeah, it feels pro, right? You got all these people on set. It feels great. Did you said you filmed in Mansfield and Nottinghamshire Woods. How did you utilize the woods to the best you could, basically, for the feeling of the movie? A lot of the movie happens in the woods, actually. Now that I think about it, what was shooting in the woods like?
Shooting in the woods came with challenges because we shot first shooting date was January the 15th, and it was -3 when we started. It was so cold, painfully cold, like you could feel it in your bones. And we were out there for, certainly me and Todd, in terms of setting up and prepping, we were out there for 14 hours a day on this shoot. And the way I approached the writing of it, knowing that I needed to be smart with locations, and we couldn't have something set on a giant spaceship or something on a battlefield, for example. It had to be small. It had to be what's on the doorstep. What can we use? So all the locations were places that are kind of from my childhood, really. It's the area I grew up and the places that I used to investigate as a kid with friends, and you find those places that are like, oh, this pond's a bit creepy. What's it like? Oh, we're great. Oh, we'll use that as a location. And yeah.
Did you film it in order, actually? Or did you film all the wood scenes at once?
We did a lot of wood scenes quite close together, but they ended up being a little bit broken up.
Okay.
And that was mostly just down to actor availability more than anything. So the bulk of the woodland scenes were done in January and February, and then rolling a little bit into March. And then we came back and shot some extra stuff shortly after that. I think all in all, there was around 30 shooting days spread over about a 5-month period.
Right. That's crazy.
And the crew ranged as well from being as small as just myself and Todd and an actor or two to being a crew of about 25. Like when we did the cult sacrifice sequence, that's
a fun scene.
It was an amazing scene to shoot. That was because it was the first time I
wasn't expecting full nudity.
Yeah,
in the movie. I was like, wait a minute.
I've had a few people say that, actually. That it's like when they saw it, they were like, "Whoa, didn't expect that from a movie that's like this low budget kind of thing." That's that was a great scene to shoot because, I mean, for me, it was the first time I worked with a crew so big, like 25 of us, roughly about 25, 26. And we had to set up like floodlights in the woods, and we had generators out there and all stuff that's like begged and borrowed, and like on the goodwill of people. We booked out it's a really small camping ground, actually, that people just never book anymore. And when I contacted them and said, look, we want to shoot this scene. There will be screaming, so it's probably best that no one else is there, kind of thing. Like, oh, no one books it anyway. You can have it for free. We're like,
Wow.
okay, great,
That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's so good.
So yeah, that was at Scarcliffe Woods Campground.
What's it called?
Scarcliffe Woods Campground.
Scarcliffe Woods. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I wanted to know a bit about the visual effects, like the practical stuff, because you've got such a tight budget. How do you approach basically those effects when your budget is so low?
So with those, we ended up scaling some of the effects back. So we had what would be our dream list of these are the shots we want to get. And for example, the scene in The Void where a character is like taken apart by invisible blades where his skin splits open. That was all done with like pumps to open up like the silicon flesh and everything, and then pump blood through, so air pumps to make the flesh spread. Originally, the plan was to have his eyeballs explode, but that would have been another $1,500 on top of what we'd already spent. So we basically worked with a really good Nottingham-based practical effects artist called Jane Hyman. I think she did work on Cannibals and Carpet Fitters, which is another English horror kind of gore comedy. Very unusual title. I've not seen it, but I've seen some of her other work in other shorts that she's done. She's really, really good. And she basically sat down with them and said, look, I'll scale everything back as much as I can, but the materials themselves are relatively expensive to build, like a full torso, fill it full of guts to pull apart. It's not a cheap effect to do. So we kind of went forward and back on, well, let's keep this but lose that, and let's scale this back. But she was just really good and really flexible with us, really, in terms of what we could realistically deliver for the money. So we'd say, look, this is as high as we can go. This is the ceiling level for the special effects budget. How far can we take it? Basically, this is where I'd love it to be, but how far can we go?
There's always a sacrifice, I'm guessing, on these low budget movies. There's always something that has to
100%.
go. Yeah.
When anybody ever asks me about like the process of going like from the page to the screen and the finished product, like the compromise is the first thing that I say. You've got to be willing to compromise, because I think even that's even the case on when you hear stories about big production. There's always something that needs to be compromised somewhere. There's so many elements that go into making a film, so many people, so many ideas. Money is always a factor, and then you throw in things like the weather and loads of other things, and things can quickly get out of hand and get quite complicated. But yeah, a lot of compromise. But for the first time ever, I would say, for me, pretty much what's on the page is on the screen. Whereas previous films I made, there's a lot of, I need to rewrite around this now. We can't crash this car into a wall. I ain't got a car that we can crash it. Yeah, I mean, like that kind of thing. So now we need to come up with something else. But with Black Goat, I think we've pretty much realised from the page onto the screen. I think we've got 99% of what we set out to do, I think.
That's great stats.
Which is it's a record for me.
Pretty unheard of, yeah.
yeah.
And so you spend a lot of time also doing a lot of different things, right? You were the writer, of course, the director, the co-producer. You even acted a little moment there.
If you can call it that, yeah. If you can call it that.
What, did you insert yourself in the movie, or were you just like, I'll just do it? Don't worry about
it was a case of I'll just do it, because we did have a couple of other people in mind, and then their schedules weren't linking up, and we'd got permission to film in this working office.
Yes, the office scene.
Yeah, and the office scene is my least favorite scene in the movie on record. I think it looks the most unappealing, and I really don't like my performance. And we actually prepared a second alternative cut, and that's not in it. And I think I prefer the alternative cut without me in it.
Yeah, a lot of people say that you find it tough to see themselves on camera, to be fair.
Yeah, and I'm not an actor. I have been in the previous movies I've been in, but that was pure necessity. It was like this on previous movies that we shot for literally a couple of £100. It was like, well, this production could go on for a year. Who can commit that long? Do you know what I mean? Just to drop everything when somebody else is available and do it. So I'm fairly comfortable being in front of the camera, but I can't say that I don't relish the idea of performing. I'd rather be behind the camera. So balancing being the writer, the co-producer, the director. I didn't do the special effects, but I did all the makeup. So trying to balance all that is really tough. And that's where the compromise comes in again, because it's ideally I would like to have spent much more time rehearsing with actors and just focusing on the performances on the day than running around strapping a light in a tree or like doing sound for a take or like. But that's the necessity of no budget filmmaking, really. I mean, you've got to just get dirty. You just got to get in there and do it. And I'm not precious about like that. I'm really flexible when it comes to that. So if I'm not the guy, I would never do a shoot and be like, oh no, I'm not getting my hands dirty. I will always get in there and do it. Do you know what I mean? I'll always get in there. But yeah, that's a real challenge, and I'm hoping that as we move forward with projects, whether it's the stuff that, because me and Todd have got a couple of more films planned that we're trying to get financing for.
Interesting.
And we've got, and we want to take the people that supported us on Black Goat and put so much dedication into that project. I want to take them with us and get them paid on the next one. Do you know what I mean? Take them with us and kind of grow that relationship if we can, because we had some amazing people contribute to Black Goat, like just a prop that people would just think, oh, it's a throwaway prop kind of thing. The book in the movie, that was handmade, hand stitched, every page hand stitched in and made like a book was practically made back in the 1950s, because it's supposed to be a book from the 50s. So the art director, really talented guy called Isaac Ravenscroft from Nottingham, he built that from scratch. Every piece of that is written. That's a full written book.
He just wrote a book for the movie.
Yeah, it's insane. There's so much extra lore in that we actually took out of the movie just for time that links to the book. There's a lot more kind of folklore and stories and legends that we wrote into it, but there's only so much chatter you can have, and there's already a lot of chatter in the movie between the characters, so we need to strip some of the folklore out of this, really.
So,
but
when it comes to the finances, how did you figure out how much money you were going to need, and also like at what point do you start reaching out for money and stuff like that? How does that work?
So in this case, it was me and Todd were really stringent on the script. So we looked at the script and looked at the minimal amount of crew we could shoot a scene with, realistically, whether they would need paying or not. We factored in things like petrol going two places, how many cars we'd need if we had to pay to park somewhere for the day, whatever that was. If we had to hire a campground, thankfully they let us use it for free. So we meticulously planned each scene that we and tried to do really long shooting days, which were exhausting, and out in the cold they were challenging. So everything was based around who's available when, and realistically, actually, can we deliver this, really? Because I would have made Black Goat with nothing. I still would have made it. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be as good as it is, versus having like $5,000 in production and $5,000 in post. But having no money doesn't stop me making movies. I just love it. I'll make movies with nothing. But yeah, in terms of running out of funding and securing more funding, we planned quite well in Black Goat. So it only came to the post-production stage where we hit that wall and we're like, oh man, these visual effects are actually going to cost more than we thought they would. We should have done more research. Oh, it's a time thing. Ideally, because we went straight into production, like literally within a month of the script being finished.
Wow.
It was literally that fast, because of the need to shoot before Todd emigrated. So it was like, we got to get this production rolling. So yeah, the visual effects were the thing that was credit card time. Basically,
yeah.
It was.
So you funded it, you co-funded it. Like, was it completely funded by you, both of you?
Yeah, the entire budget came from myself and Todd. So we used the first 5,000 that we used. We split. We had 2,500 each that we just used from our own money, which neither of us have money, so that was a big undertaking itself.
Yeah, well, it is, isn't it? It's not negligible. It's a car. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of money.
I mean, that's literally my bank balance is zero then at that point. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I've got money sitting around. And so when it came to post-production, we were pricing up the effects and like, oh man, like, do we not do them? Do we do reshoots? Do we shoot around it? But then there's the cost of reshooting, and it's not really what the original vision was. So we're like, let's make it as good as we can, as close to what we intended it to be. And we both took out another $2,500 each of debt, basically.
Oh my God.
To finish the film. So it's entirely self-financed between me and Todd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about making money then, because you are you secured distribution, which is amazing, right? You got a deal with Terror Films,
Yes.
which they're a big distributor. How did
Yeah.
that come about?
So Terra Films came about out of a list of about 30 distributors, actually. So we contacted a number of distributors in the UK, Australia, and United States. And Terra Films was one of our top ones that we wanted to contact just from reputation. I mean, I'm a fan of several franchises that they've kind of created, like the Hell House franchise. The first Hell House, fabulous film. Yeah, and the fourth one, actually, fantastic movie. But, so I was already familiar with them as a kind of a brand. And I thought that they may be, I don't know, at the very least, they'll be attainable to get we've had a look and we're not interested. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know that they'd definitely take the movie. Who knows whether someone's going to take something, but I thought they seem attainable to contact. It don't seem like I've got to go through an agent to talk to them. So it felt that they were contactable, basically, along with a good chunk of other people that we went to. So we ended up with a couple of offers initially on the table, or I say offers, interest in terms of we would be interested in working with you.
Yeah.
Let's talk terms. We met with 3 in total, and but Terror Films were the one that were just that instantly it just seemed to click for us, myself and Todd. Because the guys that run Terror Films came from independent filmmaking themselves. They know what it's like to make movies with nothing or very little money. Like the guy that runs the company, Joe Dane, I think he used to work for Full Moon Productions and Charles Band, but way back in the day. So he's used to working on quite small, low budget movies that then grow into these little cult favourites over time. So it's that they really seem to get the product as well. Like that other companies that we approached and then said, "Oh, what was it you liked about it? What was it? What you obviously want to talk terms? What is it you liked about it?" They were very vague about it. Whereas Terror Films were like, "We really like this aspect of it. We love that we've got nothing else quite like it in our catalogue because we haven't got really any English folk horror. So this is quite unique for their catalogue." So okay, that's cool. But the thing that the nicest feedback we got from them really was they really liked the story and the characters. So they always try and look for product that has strong core characters and a story. Because if you've got that, you've got something that an audience can engage with. So that was the thing that really attracted them to the project more than anything, was the story itself and the characterization. So, but they really seem to just gel. That when we first met with Joe and his team, it really just seemed like this is where we need to be. These guys seem like the right company.
That's good. That's great. Did you look into like the whole festival circuit kind of thing? There's a bunch of small, low budget horror festivals in UK and around the world.
Yeah, so we did look at a handful of festivals. We looked at big and small. Like we looked as big as like Fright Fest and some of the smaller festivals, and we particularly looked at a couple in Wales as well, because Todd in that time had relocated to Wales and was trying to find his way in that Welsh filmmaking scene at that time. Mm-hmm. And the offer for Terror came before anything with festivals either taking submissions or they were just too far off in the future. So we didn't want to sit on the movie for another 6 months or 9 months.
Yeah, of course. To
show it in a couple of festivals. So right now we'll look at this deal, and then there's always the option that maybe it's something Terror would look at if they thought there was any value in it from a promotional period, promotional aspect. I don't know, but so we kind of bypassed that on this occasion. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So I'm going to ask you a question. So you've put, your life savings in it. You're got some debt in it. Like it's not just a movie. It's real stress and work. I'm assuming here, but it's a lot. It's all encompassing, and you've also got other people on the project that you're trying to make something great for. How do you deal with the feedback on any of the IMDb's, the Letterboxd? Because
it's incredibly mixed, isn't it? I mean, for me, I've got quite a I suppose quite a contextual, or if you want, like practical viewpoint on this, in that I don't take it personally if people don't like the film. I think it's fantastic if they do love it. Obviously, who don't want like feedback that people have enjoyed the film? But I don't take it to heart if people don't like it. And I always, because I've made several tiny zero budget films before that have had distribution that have had very varied reviews as well. What I've generally found is people that are into the indie film market, and particularly the underground horror scene, they tend to have a warmer reception to these type of films in general, and are much more forgiving. Whereas I've found from other people that I've shown the movie to that are only used to like your big blockbusters, and then they watch something like this, it's normally don't meet their expectations of what they want from a movie. So I'm very aware that this is not a movie for everybody. And when we made it, we knew it wasn't going to be a movie that everyone's going to love. It was made for, I suppose, people like myself, really, cult horror fans and people that appreciate lo-fi filmmaking. So we knew that that's the market where this would end up sitting. I mean, if it exploded out of that, wonderful, lovely. Yeah, I mean, that'd be fantastic. But we weren't under any illusions that this was going to win an Oscar and be on every cinema screen in the UK, for example. We knew its appeal was relatively small. So we knew that the feedback would be like when you look at a lot of reviewing that's recorded online these days, whether it's IMDb, Letterboxd, or even if it's just a conversation that you have with somebody that's watched the film, I find that most people tend to go for one extreme or the other. It's either the worst film they've ever seen or it's the best film they've ever seen. There's not a lot of in the middle with a lot of reviewing online, unless it's more, I would say, professional critics that often have a more balanced view, in my opinion. Even if they don't like it, they can normally find something to pull out of it that they appreciate. So in terms of how those reviews affect other people, I mean, I'm quite like, people can have their opinion. Do you know what I mean? It's cool. I'm sure that there are people on the production that might take it more to heart and be like, can't believe no one likes it, kind of, or whatever the perception is. Yeah. Like, I'm sure some people take that a lot harder than I perceive it. It don't bother me. Right? I can take the rough with the smooth. You know.
So obviously you were distributed on streaming platforms and stuff where you're thrown in with all kinds of different movies. Does that set the expectation too high, maybe sometimes for like your average viewer, where they expect something that's not necessarily what you made?
It could do. It could do. Yeah. I mean, for somebody that's just sat and watched the latest, I don't know, the latest multiverse superhero movie, like, oh, let's check this out.
To the jugular you go. Okay.
Yeah. And then
you watch the Marvel movie and then you watch my movie.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Then within 5 minutes, they're like, I might watch something else. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, I suppose that's the thing, is you've got this massive potential net of viewers there that could be exposed to your film, and hopefully there's some people that take a chance on it and really get something out of it and they enjoy it, and it exceeds their expectations, and hopefully this looks quite low budget, to that delivered some things actually that I didn't expect it to deliver. That took me some places I didn't think it would. Hopefully you'll get a portion of those, as well as the ones that are let's watch the new Jason Statham movie instead. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, not your audience at all, actually.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So it's a fair question, though. I mean, because at that point it's completely out of the control and context of the filmmaker's intention. It's just out there, isn't it? It's just people. It's at the mercy of the viewer at that point. And was there like 17 million Prime customers in the UK? That's a massive pool of people. Even if 0.5% of them watch it, it's like, that's a huge amount of people. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. Like you making this film as a small team of two, really, it means that you, one, rely on a lot of people, which is good, I think, if you make friends. But at the same time, you also have to be responsible for so much more that has nothing to do with filming a movie, distribution, marketing. Like, how do you guys handle that?
Yeah, not my specialist area, not Todd's specialist area either. I mean, I've had limited exposure to it in the past in terms of the previous films that I've made. But I am no expert at all with that. So we really were kind of, for want of a better phrase, at the mercy of the wolves in that respect, in terms of like putting yourself out there. And when it comes to marketing and contacting companies, you're like, you're trying to go with your gut about what's the right decision and whether it's going to be the right move for the film getting out there and being seen, but also hopefully we will recoup the debt back, and also hopefully it can make some money so we can pay people that were involved in supporting us with it. So it's like it's
I understand, like when I organize events myself and we're on a shoestring budget, there is always I wish I could pay everyone. I want to pay everyone before I pay myself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I want everybody to be happy. And if we make any money, it'll go to them. So I understand the sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you've got a couple of projects coming along. What can you tell us, and what are you hoping to make? Yeah.
So we have 2 features that are one's much further along its script writing phase. It's at like a multiple nth draft now, and is ready to start probably touting around. The other one is undergoing some work at the moment. So the first one is kind of a retro slasher movie called Night of the Long Knives. It's kind of got a World War II influence, kind of supernatural theme to it. The other one is Black Goat 2, because we really want to expand the mythology in that universe.
I wasn't seeing that coming. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. Nice.
So I've actually got a treatment written for a Black Goat 3, which is set way in the past.
Wow.
But so I really like the idea of I like the idea of growing that universe, almost like the Stephen King kind of Castle Rock, Maine kind of thing, where a lot of his books intersect, even though they're not necessarily linked. I love the idea of having this fake place called Blackwood Falls, where maybe all these different stories take place. They don't all have to be horror either. Maybe one's a drama, but it takes place in that universe.
Right.
So I love the idea of developing stuff in that world. And I'm partway through a production at the moment. So there's a third production, which I forgot to mention, which is a micro-budget production called The Somber Lane, which I'm working on with Isaac Ravenscroft, who was the art director on Black Goat. So that's, again, another folk horror, but very much in the style of the old kind of BBC Ghost Stories for Christmas kind of vibe. Yeah. So it's kind of in that kind of vibe. Hopefully we'll have that finished by summer, I'm hoping.
Can I ask you about something I've discovered a lot more this year for me are shorts? Going to festivals and stuff. So can I ask, like, what is the appeal of a feature length? Maybe it's distribution, financing, but when you're working on such a micro budget, why not just do a short?
Yeah, good question. And that's something that me and Todd talk about a lot, actually, because I think Todd doesn't favour shorts over features, but he has a real passion for doing some shorts. And I'm like, you could do a short, but
why not go all in? Why not go in debt?
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, shorts have such a short life. So beyond their festival screenings, that's pretty much their life. They might find a life online. They might end up on YouTube. They might get watched multiple times on YouTube. Like what's the Lights Out? Like the short that 3-minute short that became the film Lights Out. The short's way better than the movie that came later, actually. But it's really good short, and that's, I think, it had millions of views online. But that's incredibly rare. And for me, there's so little life in the short, and I like the idea that a film could just carry on and live and go beyond. Like after I'm gone, the film will still be there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I'm up for shorts if you can kind of then put them together as an anthology, for example. So then you could then sell them as a feature still.
Like the VHS stuff.
100%. Yeah, that kind of stuff, like the old Tales from the Crypt style VHS, that kind of thing. Yeah, like that. And there's yet another project, which I've not mentioned, where we've got 2 older films that are shorts. They're about 25 minutes each, and we need a third film to finish that. So we're in the prep stage of doing the last film to put an anthology together as well. But for me, I'm not against doing shorts, but they've got so little life beyond that. If it don't hit at the right time and the right person sees it, it feels like so many shorts get made and forgotten. I know of, from being in this, from filmmaking since I was 14, 15, and I'm now in my mid 40s, like, I still don't know anybody that's made a short that's really had any ripple effect anywhere. They just disappear for the most part.
Yeah.
There is a couple of shorts that me and Todd were talking about in terms of developing, maybe trying to raise funding for a short. Maybe it's we go to BFI or lottery funding, things like that, to try and do something as a short. But it's like we're looking at one and we're like, oh, we could shoot this maybe for, I don't know, 15 grand if we get the funding for this short, this idea that we had. But like, we did Black Goat on 10.
I was going to say, I love how the short has more of a budget than the feature.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's kind of like, well, why don't we just do a feature? So you could do probably a good short every, I don't know, you could probably do 3 or 4 a year if everyone's so inclined to be involved and the money's there. But where's the life for them in 2 years' time, for example? Maybe someone sees one and says, I'd love to see that developed into something bigger and here's the money. But how often does that happen? Very rarely. Whereas at least a feature can stand on its own and it has more identity.
That's very eye-opening. Thank you. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you so much, David.
Yeah, no problem. It's been great.
Before we go, where can people find the Black Goat?
So the Black Goat is in the UK. It's on Amazon Prime. In the US, it's on Amazon for streaming, and it's also on the Kings of Horror channel on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And then there's more channels that will be emerging and other streaming services through the year that hopefully will be appearing on. But they're the big hitters at the moment.
That's great. Go watch the Black Goat then. Go watch the Black Goat if you're listening to this. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.